It's important and it's significant that we're here today at the murals and that we're here with the families and some of the loved ones of people depicted here on these walls of the block. And we know that this art and this place holds a lot of meaning for the city, for communities, and it does for me as well. And that's why with this importance and following really robust public comment through City Council, through my office, and through all of the means of city communication in 2020, that Salt Lake City paused our development discussions, which I'd announced in February of 2020 at my first State of the City that we were going to develop this block, and we'd started those wheels in motion. We put those in pause in order to make room for these much needed. You can come around this way if you can't hear, but I will try to speak up. We paused development in 2020 in order to make room and really come up with how could we have conversations. The city, I don't know any other city that's undertaken a process like this before. And we needed to recognize that the Fleet Block murals have been a catalyst of collective healing and of social change here in Salt Lake City. So with Ashley Cleveland from my office at the helm, this couldn't have been possible without Ashley's amazing work, with her heartfelt authenticity and her creativity. We embarked on an all hands on deck approach. By which I mean that many city departments and divisions, including the City Council office and staff, have participated in this. And it's an approach that attempts to begin healing conversations with the relatives through our community outreach team and also through licensed community trusted clinicians like Melanie D, who you'll hear from in a moment. We enlisted also the Salt Lake City Arts Council to help imagine a future of healing through this process and what might come next. We worked with the City Council, who have helped to create metrics and goals around what the development, the RFP process in and of itself, and who can be here, who will be here, who will activate, and who will find opportunities and create opportunities in this space in the future. We did a lot of listening, and we're open as we go forward. So these signs that are going up today on two sides of the block outline these steps that we've taken so far, as well as what the path ahead entails. And I think, and I believe, thanks to Ashley and the family's recommendations and guidance, that this is a step of transparency about the development process, the healing process of what may happen on this block, and most of all, an invitation for the community to help shape this process as they have so far. Moving forward, it's our community and neighborhoods division and our public lands department in terms of the city entities that will help lead the process. And this block has been decades in the making, but we never imagined this robust of a public process to help create it. It's completely unique in the history of Salt Lake City. The Fleet Block will undergo an evolution in the coming years, and that will advance the purpose of it, and the metrics and the goals that the council have helped us to create are all about advancing opportunity, specifically for our underrepresented residents, and creating also a community gathering space for Salt Lakers for decades to come. And the public lands and the parks bond that was passed in November of $85 million includes $6 million for this block's park. This work really would not have been possible without leaders in the city like Ashley Cleveland, also our help from Melanie Davis and our own Michaela Respicio Evans, who have really helped, I believe, to grow trust and transparency with the community, while at the same time our city and our nation as a whole are grappling with the critical conversations that have not happened before around injustice and what the future of justice and equity looks like in our local spaces. You have helped to create a new way of operating for us as a city. And thank you, Melanie, especially for helping the families in the city to offer, you've offered a delicate lens through which a complicated conversation can happen productively, and I'm grateful for you for that. Thank you to the City Council. They on November 22nd at their work session meeting, heard the rezone application, discussed the park placement, and the next step in terms of the process will be hopefully the city council approving the zoning that's necessary for a park and for development to happen. And at that point, the city can issue the request for proposals or the RFP once that zoning is complete. What the timeline is for that is up to the city council and not me. So I don't know that Darin Mano is going to announce that today, but in terms of process, that's what's next. I'll turn the time now over to Darin, again, followed by Gina and then Melanie.
Well, it's so cold. I'll try and speak loud as well. I'm Darin Mano. It's my privilege to serve as the District 5 Council member, which as of last year includes the Fleet Block. It used to stop there and now it stops there. And I'm excited to stand here today with you to celebrate this next step in this city-owned parcel. My day job is architecture and I'm an urban planning geek, and I love cities and places. So events like today and projects like this are my favorite part of my job as a city council member. I first learned about the Fleet Block over a decade ago of when the city first issued an RFP, or I don't even know if that was the first time. And at that time, I think it was considered to be maybe the first big move for this neighborhood, a big development that would be a catalytic project for all of the granary in Central 9th area. Well, a lot has changed in the last 10 years. And this project has had many starts and stops, but the Granary District in Central 9th has also grown up around this project. So it's transformed into a hub of creativity, a culinary hub, and the warehouses that still exist here are now home to businesses of all kinds. Central 9th to the east looks completely different than it did 10 years ago. There's great businesses and restaurants, nonprofit organizations, community serving organizations like Spy Hop, a lot of new residents, and it's a bustling transit-connected urban node. The granary to our west has places like Industry, Woodbine, and Evo, and some cool microbreweries like Fisher, TF, and Keto's. And they're all making their mark on this neighborhood. So as the neighborhood has grown up, the meaning to me for this project has changed. It's no longer a catalyst. It's no longer the first thing in the neighborhood. It's an opportunity for us to do so much more with this city-owned parcel. 10 years ago, we would have just wanted a development that would start this neighborhood, but this neighborhood's already started. So now it can be a place where people can live affordably, a place that will foster creativity, a center for diversity and inclusion, a hub for local, growing, minority-owned businesses, a place for us to engage with the community and to serve our community. It'll also have an open space, a park that is a destination and will bring nature into this green space deprived part of our city. To support this vision, we are, as the mayor said, considering a new zoning district that will allow these things to happen. And we've heard a lot, the city has heard a lot from residents and from family members. Thank you so much for being involved. One of the important things for me is that we're going to break the giant block up into smaller parcels and have a lot of smaller developers involved in the process. So it's not one huge company that already has a lot of means, that it can be something that other people can, that traditionally wouldn't be part of cities' projects, can be part of. Also, a significant portion of this block is going to be dedicated not for development, for profit, but for an open space park. And thank you to Salt Lake City residents for supporting the GEO bond so that we know where that money to build that park is going to come from. We also know that this space has become a sacred space for many in our community, and it's our intent to honor that legacy in the new development. I invite everyone here and everyone listening to stay engaged with the city and continue giving us your input. Thank you to those who have already made this as successful as it has been, including Central 9th residents and businesses, the Granary Business District community, the urban planning and development community, and of course the families of those who are memorialized on these walls. And thank you also to Mayor Mendenhall and her staff for your leadership, especially Ashley Cleveland and Tammy Hunsaker, who have taken leading roles in this project. And thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here today. We have worked with the city for a few years now, especially Ashley and the clinicians, and they have helped bring a lot of things to surface that we have been working behind the scenes for a long time. These murals mean so much to our families. Each one of these people depict something special to someone, and in their life that they were here on this earth, they didn't get to stand up and say how important they were, and the families, regardless of why they're here or what happened, someone misses them and someone loves them. And people have said, well, you can go to the graveyard and you can see your loved ones and remember them there. But the thing is when you go to a graveyard, you see the sorrow and the sadness and the tragedy that brought them onto this wall. I understand that our tragedies aren't everybody's tragedies, but they kind of are, because we are a community. And when we come here, this is a healing spot for families, and each one of us know what it feels like to have a person on this wall. We see their smiles and we see their spirit here, and we understand one another. There's an unspoken understanding for each family that has a person on this wall. To say goodbye to any one of these people would be to forget them. This wall helps everyone not forget who is here and why they're here. We have been fighting and working with the city to try and keep these murals here. We want the community to be a part of it. We want this to be a good space where people of minority, of color, people that are down on their luck can come and feel safe and get that healing feeling that we get from this space. None of us asked to be here. This is a club that no one ever wants to join. And it's years and years of healing. And I don't think we ever will heal. But as long as we have hope, we have something. As long as we don't ever have to say goodbye, we will always remember. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Gina.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you. You don't have to. Okay. No, stay with me. It's fine. Thank you to everyone who took the time to speak. Gina, thank you so much for your presence here. Thank you to everyone who took the time to speak and share your words. Gina, especially you. My name is Melanie Davis, and I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor here in Salt Lake City with Planted Healing. We had the opportunity and the humble, gracious opportunity to hold space and do our best to create a safe and neutral space for whatever families saw that it was appropriate for them and timely for them to work through some stages and processing surrounding grief and loss. That was our role and humble role in this process, and we're grateful to Ashley for inviting us to do that. Grief is an ongoing process, and in this beautiful space that has been created for the families to visit, connect, and see images of their loved ones that have been unfortunately and tragically lost, it was critical to try to create a space separate from things that could be triggering or make a healing process or grieving process unsafe for families to move through and along with. So we appreciate the opportunity to be a part of that, and want to encourage everyone in this season to also check on family members. There is no get over it. There is no end to grieving the loss of someone who should be in your life. And that is an ongoing process that we want to honor for each and every one of these families represented here on this wall. So make sure to also check on these community members and all of your family members. And I appreciate your time and being here today.